Hi guys, Rebecca the Explorer here. Today is 11/14/2016. The time is 3:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, in front of me I have a map of Google Earth. As you can see, our colors today are in yellow. Our flags are pink, purple, and red. It's actually more like a purplish color for the threes. Light blue is for threes. Yellow is for twos and under. This purple color is for fours. And as you see, there have been a lot of them today. So, of course, I need to go back to where they started at for today. And today is the 14th. So, first earthquake that I've listed is a 2.8. 30 kilometers south of Sweden at 58 kilometers deep. This area is quite mountainous, and this is where some of the swarms have taken place. I'm going to land here so you can take a look at the area around. I had planned on taking some of the pictures and putting them on here. However, plan on doing a compilation of the pictures that have been sent to me later today. So if you have any pictures that you would like to send to me, you can send them to Rebecca TCO it's RebeccaTCO8@gmail.com, and then I can put them on here so people can see what your towns and stuff look like. And any personal stories you have, feel welcome to send them to me, and I'll read them on the air. And the next earthquake was a 3.3. It was 15 kilometers east of Sweden, at a depth of 12 kilometers. And it's in the same place where the 3.9 happened yesterday. The next earthquake was a 2.9. It was 13 kilometers deep and 15 kilometers north of Tahminini. Again, we'll land and take a look, so people who don't live there can see what the area looks like, how mountainous it is. This is what it actually probably looks like before the earthquake, so you can imagine what it's going to look like afterwards. Next earthquake was a 4.0. It was 15 kilometers deep, located 10 kilometers southeast of Sweden. It was at Lake Grasmere. I did find out yesterday you can do some exploring around here, so we can take a look at what it looks like. Off to the side, you can see Lake Grasmere. And a lot of the swarms have been happening around this area. Doesn't want to let me get up there. Okay. Next earthquake was a 3.9. It within the same area. Is at 10 kilometers depth, 15 kilometers southeast of Sudden. We're going to so you can see what this area looks like. And so you can tell that's Lake Grasmere over here. Curiosity. Next earthquake was a 3.2. It was at a depth of 36 kilometers, and it was located 20 kilometers north of Kekura. And it's water. So you can tell it was off the beach area by Half Moon Bay. Let's see, we can get a land view here. Well, that's interesting. Next earthquake was a 4.3. It was at a depth of 23 kilometers, 25 kilometers northeast of Stratford. Next earthquake was a 5.3. It was at a depth of 35 kilometers, 45 kilometers northeast of Kekura. Next earthquake was a 4.0. It was at a depth of 30 kilometers, located 20 kilometers east of Tarongi. This is also near Taupo. The distance would be 13 miles. The next earthquake was a 5.4. It was at a depth of 25 kilometers, and it was 10 kilometers east of Kekura. Next earthquake was a 3.0. It was at 22 kilometers in depth and 10 kilometers southeast of Sedon. The next earthquake was a 4.1. It was at a depth of 21 kilometers, 15 kilometers west of Destekliyor. Now remember, after the earthquake and the fact that they've had major damage there, there's going to be major changes to the land, so Google will probably end up having to update the views and images that are seen. Next earthquake was a 4.3. Why I didn't put a purple on that. It was at a depth of 43 kilometers and 30 kilometers west of Quakes. Next earthquake was a 4.5. It was at 10 kilometers in depth, and it was in the Cook Strait, New Zealand area. I'm worried they're going to have another 6, because I'm seeing many 5s. Next earthquake was a 4.5. It was at a depth of 10 kilometers. Next earthquake was a 4.8, and it was at a depth of 24 kilometers. The next earthquake was a 4.7. The next earthquake was a 5.2. And it was at a depth of 10 kilometers. The next earthquake was a 5.6. A close 6. And it was at a depth of 10 kilometers. The next earthquake was a 4.6. And it was at a depth of 21 kilometers. The next earthquake was a 5.4. And it was at a depth of 15 kilometers. The next earthquake was a 5.0 at a depth of 10 kilometers. And it was in Tonga area. That looks like a volcano. The next earthquake was a 2.1, and it was in Western Australia. Didn't have any landing there. But differences here, they do mining, and they do fracking and removing and stuff. The next earthquake was a 4.8, and it was at a depth of 17 kilometers. The next earthquake was a 4.9. The next earthquake was a 2.2, and it was also in Western Australia. And I have no idea what that is. I'm not even letting me see. The next earthquake was a 4.7. The depth is 18 kilometers. It was at Cook Strait. So this whole area is moving this way. So it's moving this way. Next one screen. As you can see, there are a whole bunch more same areas here that were all Cook Island, which is this area. There were a few that were over here, but not very many. There were a few that were at Rapindu. And there was this one, which was a 2.0, 15 kilometers southwest of Tapo. It was 5 kilometers deep. And there was a 3.3 and a 2.8. And then there was another 5.0. But as I've been watching this, it's more like you see them bounce back and forth between the islands. Like a friend of mine yesterday and I were talking about it. It's like two kids battling back and forth with each other. Anyway, that was the update for now. I'm planning on doing more of an update later. Just wanted to let y'all know the swarms do continue on. They seem to be lessening somewhat, which is good. I'm hoping that it doesn't lead to something larger within this area, because there's been many 4s and 5s here. But stay prepared, be aware, and don't be scared. And for any questions or answers, you can go to DUTCHSINSE on YouTube, and he can help you with that. I'm not one to make any forecasts. I just do the research for the spot. Thank you, and have a nice day.